you spoken with any of the U.S. service members who were injured during that operation in Venezuela?
Yes, we have calls into them. I don't want to speak. They're all in good shape.
Can you detail what watching that was like when all this played out in Venezuela and what Maduro was doing that moment?
Well, I knew the possible danger. I mean, it was a very dangerous operation. It was amazing that we had a few injured, but all are in good shape right now. But I knew there was great danger. You got off a helicopter. The helicopters were being shot at. They got on the ground. They were amazing talent and tremendous patriotism, bravery. The bravery was incredible. Lindsay, they got off the helicopter and the bullets were flying all over the place. As you know, one of the helicopters got hit pretty badly, but we got everything back. And nobody killed.
The next question is who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have you spoken to the newly sworn in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? You said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people have.
Do you want to?
Yeah, at the right time I will.
Did the U.S. give Delcy Rodriguez any guarantees in exchange for cooperating with your administration?
No, but she's cooperating.
Are you going to demand free and fair elections in the short term in Venezuela?
Well, it depends. What you're talking. We have to do one thing in Venezuela: bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been if I had lost the election. We would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids. Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back, and we're going to have big investments by the oil companies to bring back the infrastructure. And the oil companies are ready to go. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the infrastructure. We built it to start off with many years ago. They took it away. You can't do that. You can't do that with me. They did it with other presidents.
How soon do you think an election can take place in Venezuela? How soon can an election take place?
Well, I think we're looking more at getting it fixed, getting it ready first, because it's a mess. The country is a mess. It's been horribly run. The oil is just flowing at a very low level, much lower than, even if it was badly run, it should have more income, more oil than what they're doing. So we're going to have the big oil companies go in, and they're going to fix the infrastructure, and they're going to invest money. We're not going to invest anything. We're going to just take care of the country. We're going to cherish the country. We're going to take care, more importantly, of the people, including Venezuelans that are living in our country that were forced to leave their country. And they're going to be taken very good care of. Yes, ma'am.
Have you spoken with the oil companies about going into Venezuela?
I have.
Which ones? Have you received any commitments?
All of them, basically.
Any commitments from the oil companies?
They want to go in so badly.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off about
Before and after. And they want to go in, and they're going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going to represent us well. But the infrastructure is rusty, rotten, most of it unusable. It's old, it's broken. You see pipes laying all over the ground. Nothing's been invested for years. Chevron's in, as you know, they've done a good job, but even they haven't been in a position to invest money because they're on a month-to-month basis.
What happens to
They're only there because I wanted them to be there.
Are there any contingencies in case the military in Venezuela is unhappy with the U.S. the way it's running Venezuela? Do you guys have plans for anything?
So Venezuela thus far has been very nice, but it helps to have a force like we have. We were ready for a second wave. We were all set to go, but we don't think we're going to need it.
There's about $17 billion worth of oil reserves in Venezuela.
More.
Is that going to be?
You mean trillion?
And is that going to be
Did you
something?
say billion or trillion?
I said billion.
You said 17 billion? It's much more than that.
Okay, so what is going to happen to those reserves?
We're going to run everything. We're going to run it, fix it. We'll have elections at the right time. But the main thing you have to fix, it's a broken country. There's no money. There's inflation. Like we would have had, if I didn't win this election, we would have been Venezuela on steroids. Lindsay would know that. You might say something on that because we were talking before. We would have had a doubling up of very bad things that cost us a lot of money, like welfare, frankly. We wouldn't have had jobs. And instead of having $18 trillion in, we would have had at least $5 to $10 trillion leaving the country. So our costs would have gone up, and all of the money that's, we're setting a record. It's long broken. And that's it. That's after 10 months. We haven't included the 11th month yet. So we think we're going to hit over $20 trillion. The all-time record is 3 by another country known as China. About 10 years ago, they did 3. We're going to do close to 20 trillion. By the way, there has never been anything like this ever before. And it's all because of tariffs and the election, but it's because of tariffs.
There was a time.
Without tariffs, we wouldn't have 10 cents being invested.
There was a time back in 2016, and I remember your RNC speech, and you were saying that regime change and nation building.
Where?
When you were speaking at the RNC back in 2016, you were criticizing regime change and nation building, the U.S. being involved in that. It seems obviously that your stance has changed on that. What led to that? And is the U.S. nation building now? Is that
this isn't a country that's on the other side of the world. This isn't a country like where you have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area, the Don Road Doctrine.
So is that what you would say, that we're in the business of nation building?
No,
now?
we're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor, and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
it sounds good to me.
Secretary Rubio mentioned.
You know why? Because they kill a lot of people. Yeah.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. A lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side, but there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, trying to protect him.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
And I said something. So when he first got elected in January, we met, biggest comeback ever. We talked about
You think so, really? I didn't feel it was a comeback, actually.
So
Because the first one was...
the bottom line is we talked about a drug caliphate in our backyard. We had Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these 3 countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. Joe Biden put a $25 billion bounty on Maduro's head. Chris Smith, today he got inaugurated, said, I hope Trump will hold Maduro's feet to the fire. You did. So what has he done? He's going to clear our backyard of a drug caliphate, countries run by narco-terrorist dictators who murder, rape, send drugs into our country to kill thousands of our citizens. To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this. When bin Laden went down, I was the first to applaud President Obama. This was one of the most sophisticated military operations in the history of the country. What they were able to do was amazing. They knew we were coming. We had a good part of the Navy, and they were able to capture this man alive. No military in the world could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Do you think you're gonna
By the way, you know, you mentioned something that's interesting. Lindsay mentioned bin Laden. Do you know I wrote about bin Laden 1 year before the attack on the World Trade Center? And I said, you got to go after bin Laden. It was in my book. And very few people want to say that, but it was in my book. You know that, I think. You've actually talked about it. But if they would have listened to me, they would have taken out bin Laden, and you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center tragedy.
Yeah, this is certainly going.
Did you know that? I predicted bin Laden.
I learned something every day.
No, but did you hear that?
Well, I didn't know. I just heard it right
now. No, I wrote a book. It was 1 year before the attack that the book came out, and it talked about, there's a whole page, a whole section dedicated to a guy named bin Laden who's a bad guy who you have to take out.
So I'll get the book. But right after the election, he told me, I'm going to clean up our backyard. Now, this was before he took office. This is one of the president's priorities, is to make sure that people in our backyard, narco-terrorist states, will not continue to kill Americans without the number of people that will be alive today because Venezuela will be in different hands is going to be tens of thousands. This is something to be celebrated, whether you like him or not.
Not just Venezuela. It's what's coming out of Venezuela in the form of ocean-going and Gulf-going and sea-going boats. Every time we knock out a boat, and we've done a lot of them, we did 3 over the last few days. They're very rare now. You don't see too many of them.
Hard to recruit.
But drugs by sea are down 97%. Think of that. And now we're going to stop them by land, too. The land is easy. We had to do the sea before we did the land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like
And by the way, you have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. We'd love Mexico to do it. They're capable of doing it. But unfortunately, the cartels are very strong in Mexico.
I remember one time you actually, speaking of Mexico, I asked you about Claudia Sheinbaum, and you told me at one point you had offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to combat drug trafficking there. Is that something you have spoken to her about?
I think she's a terrific person. I would say every single time I talk to her, I offered to send troops.
And she's just not willing?
She's concerned. She's a little afraid. The cartels are running Mexico. Whether you like it or not, it's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico.
Yeah, speaking of those U.S. troops, I mean, one thing that Americans and a lot of people are wondering, you just sounded like you weighed out another strike, another land strike at least in Venezuela. You sound like you weighed that out. But
we didn't need it. We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed it. We're totally prepared.
But that's off
we're
the table.
still prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
Will you demand
The
that
question is
Venezuela-
the American troops. Are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it
So
that.
if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that,
She
frankly,
called it...
you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
Now, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad. It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to reopen its embassy in Caracas or get the DEA?
We're thinking about it. We've been asked to do it.
You
We've
had...
actually been asked to do it.
Do you think the
You had Putin and on the phone, of course, and then Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
You told me that
Numerous times.
You told me that your New Year's resolution was peace on earth. Do you think that 2026, if you could set a deadline of when the Russia-Ukraine
I don't
war...
do deadlines, but I would say that, like as an example, Thailand and Cambodia.
Well, where
I
does
was
it-
very
where does
proud
it
of that. Wait a
actually
minute.
stand
And they
between
started
Russia-
up again and they got it solved.
Where does it
I give
actually-
myself 1/4 of a point for that. So now I'm 8 1/4 points because they started up Thailand and Cambodia, and now it's okay.
So where does it actually stand between Russia
I think
and
we'll have a
Ukraine
deal
right now?
at some point, hopefully in the not too distant. So I don't know if you saw the numbers just came out. 30,000 soldiers were killed this current month.
And there was that in
30,000. 27,000 the month before.
You and Senator Gray discussed additional Russia sanctions.
We discuss it all the time. There's nothing else I talk to him. I don't consider him very exciting to talk to, except when we're talking about legislation. And we talk about legislation all the time. You think that's an exciting relationship? It's not. But we talk a lot about legislation, and we have great legislation coming. You want to tell them?
So the tariff bill, so here's what I believe. I don't think we could have secured the border without the threat of tariffs. I don't think we'd have a European trade deal without the threat of tariffs. So if you want to end this conflict, then put pressure on Putin's customers. He sanctioned the two largest oil companies in Russia, which is the biggest pressure anybody's put on Putin since the war started. But we have 85 co-sponsors to give this president.
It's hurting Russia very bad, the sanctions.
Oh, yeah. So this bill would allow.
And India also is bullish.
Yes, sir. So he put a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. I was at the Indian ambassador's house about a month ago, and all he wanted to talk about is how they're buying less Russian oil. Would you tell the president to relieve the tariff? This stuff works. So I'm hoping we'll bring the bill up, and it's from 0 to 500. He picks the number. Nobody else does. But if you're buying cheap Russian oil, keeping Putin's war machine going, we're trying to give the president the ability to make that a hard choice by tariffs. I really do believe that what he did with India is the chief reason India is now buying substantially less Russian oil. So I hope we pass this bill soon. And after
Well,
this,
they wanted to make me happy, basically. He wanted to. Modi's a very good man.
Yes.
He's a good guy. He knew I was not happy, and it was important to make me happy. They do trade, and we can raise tariffs on them very quickly, and it would be
People are
very
afraid
bad
of
for
that.
them.
All of that to say, you told me you weren't very thrilled.
And I'll tell you something, the Russian economy is lousy. But what's really lousy is the Venezuelan economy. The Venezuelan economy is, I think, the worst economy I've ever seen. If you look at inflation, things are doubling every day.
Stolen
It's a disaster. We got to fix the country fast.
President Trump, are there going to be any more? You said the oil companies are going there. Are there any other companies that you've talked to about dealing with Venezuela? Maybe Mr. Lutnick could talk about that. Are there any other corporations, entities outside
Many
of oil?
outside of the oil business.
Like who?
Well, the oil business, yes, but outside, yes. Howard, you want to
They have steel, you have minerals, right? All the critical minerals. They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals, I mean, this is all, it's a rich, it was once upon a time one of the great economies and cultures of the world, and it was destroyed, and now President Trump is going to fix it and bring it back for the Venezuelans.
But it's not easy. It's
no.
really gone bad.
Any rare earth?
But it's got potential. What?
Maybe any rare earth minerals?
They have rare earth, but everybody has rare earth. Rare earth is not rare. What's rare is the processing.
We got
We're
almost
doing
done.
processing plants all over. There's no such thing as rare earth. The rare earth is everywhere. What isn't everywhere is the processing of rare earth, and we have a lot of places going up right now.
One thing we haven't heard you